Yes. Go away. Right. So everybody should be joining. That's good. If you can put your video on, that would be lovely. We don't mind if you're eating your lunch. That would be great. So I'm back after a holiday, which was lovely, going transatlantic on the Queen Mary 2 and then 3 days in New York. And it was just as gorgeous here, in fact, colder than here today. I don't know whether it is cold. I've just heard that actually, if you go to the top of the hill in Streatley, it's glorious sunshine. It's just in the valley that we've got. It's just not great. So there's been loads of things happening while I've been away. So I'm going to hand over to Catherine to start with.
Loads of things happening. We have certainly had a few interesting cases, to say the least. What I was going to talk about today is just really go over. You'll hear much more about this. It's been announced what the new national living wage is going to increase to from April next year. So up from £9.50 to £10.42. I won't go into all of them. There was obviously increase for the apprentice rate, which is going up to £5.28. Maternity, paternity, adoption is going up to £172.48. So if I could do my maths, that's about a £16 increase a week. And statutory sick pay is also going up from April next year, from £99.35 a week to £109.40 a week, so a £10 increase per week there. But like I said, that's not until April next year. The exact date will be set, but it's usually around the 6th of April. The sickness or sick pay, and then usually around the sort of 20th, 23rd for the rest. But we will obviously let you know when that takes place.
And so I just want to say really quickly about the minimum wages. If you have people on minimum wage, you will have to go in and pay them properly and issue them with a contract. You don't have to do the contract amendment because it's their statutory right, but you just need to be aware that you actually need to go and do that and change that from the 1st of April. Okay, and you can't say, oh well, I didn't realise I'll pay you next month. It's like, well, you've got a bit of warning here, 5 months warning. So
yes, plenty of notice. And then obviously the World Cup is in full swing. I was going to ask for a show of hands to see if anybody has seen their staff sickness increase, but only Chris and Mella on camera. So but if you have, stick your hand up. But no, so you may, this is shaking, your employees are too honest and too good, that's what it is. So no, you may see an increase in absence during the World Cup. So it's just to sort of reinforce that, make sure that people are reporting their absences the correct way, i.e. phoning someone. It's so easy just to send a text message, get them to phone. If they do send a text message, you can reply or call them back and say, noted, please can you call the office, or you can call them back. And, you know, again, do your return to works face to face on their return to work. It's not easy to sit in front of someone and lie about an absence, and if they know they're going to have to do that, then it's going to likely put them off going ill when they're not generally ill. It's because their favorite team is playing. So yeah, you may see an increase in sickness, you may not, which is good. And then also, you know, just be mindful at this time on you know, the football banter. It can really easily turn to discrimination, you know, especially if we're talking about different countries, different races, different sexes. So it's really, if you hear any of that, it is to just take action straight away. Don't allow that to continue, because it will escalate, and unfortunately it could lead to bleak discrimination claims.
I was just going to chip in on that, Catherine. So with cases like that, with banter, or I think it's quite harmless, or it might be that a sensitive subject's being raised that you think, oh, it's just a bit too close to the bone. All of those matters, when I've been dealing with them the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of, oh, well, it's a sensitive situation. The processes are there to protect you. It's no good just kind of taking somebody aside, because you're going to have to take everybody's side, especially in the scenario that Catherine's mentioned, where everybody's getting carried away with their passion for their favourite team. I don't do football, so that does not apply whatsoever to me. But I'm just talking about sensitive situations in general. It's great if you can manage to resolve an issue informally, but sometimes I think employers are a little bit hesitant to try and address the situation. But the processes and the guidelines around those processes are there to protect you, are there to support you have that conversation. It might be sensitive, but if you follow a set process, you know that you're going to be within the boundaries of legalities, where you take a sensitive situation and deal with it informally without taking any of our advice, of course, then it's going to likely end you in hot water, especially, like you say, when it's something like a little bit of football banter, as they say. Thanks, Kate.
The other thing as well is, because we've had a discussion with somebody on the GCMA advice line this morning, and they have been sort of accused of inappropriate banter, not about football. And we've then heard from them what they said, and they said, well, it's not bad, I've only said da-da-da, and we're like, not really suitable. And the point is that they're like, well, they should say if they don't like it. It's like, well, you're the boss. It's very difficult to say to your boss, who's saying something that they obviously think is a joke and is funny, that it's not funny. And this is why you actually probably, and we discuss this in the office, you need to be a little bit of a killjoy, because actually you don't need to tease people about what team they support or how they're dressed, or somebody was, what was it? It's Avril Lavigne, was that? Somebody coming in
like a skater girl.
Yeah, like a skater girl. And it's like, that it's not really even funny. And I appreciate you maybe not meaning it in a bad way, but it's not, communication, as we all know, is a two-way thing. So it's not just what you say, it's how it comes to the other person. So it's just making sure that all of those things that are banter, and it's just a bit of fun, any of those words that you're using to defend, you need to know that you need to stop it. So, okay, good. Catherine.
Likewise with the absence, I was just going to say, you need to ensure a consistent approach with that. As Caroline has said, an employer making inappropriate comments, I mean, you're supposed to be there to set an example. So, just take it out straight away. And if people then continue, or employees then continue, treat everybody the same, have the same approach, follow the same process, stick to the processes, and don't kind of treat one a little bit more, oh, well, maybe that wasn't as bad as it sounded, because the harassment and the unwanted attention is going to be perceptive to that individual who's experiencing it. So I would totally stay away from personal comments or comments about somebody's dress and things like that. But you need to have a consistent approach with all employees, whether it's the absence, whether it's the banter. So you might think it's not so bad, somebody else might find it absolutely horrific, and you can't measure that without going through a process. Okay.
And so the other case we've been dealing with this week is someone in a senior position, so a position of trust, shall we say. The manager has just taken their eye off the ball, and I'm not telling you don't trust anyone. I don't, that's it. I can't with the industry I work in, unfortunately, but they've just taken their eye off the ball, and unfortunately this person has completely taken advantage of this. What's also not helped is both her children also work at the same company. They've all been doctoring their hours. They're putting on their timesheet full hours, but they're going home after a couple of hours. They have changed their salaries and hours on their contracts. And the manager is completely oblivious to this. Now that we found out about the hours, they're starting to find all the issues. So I guess two things. It's just, keeping an eye on the ball. Yes, you've got people that you trust and senior managers, and they do a lot of the work, but don't lose sight, even if it's just check-ins, audits, whatever it is, just make sure you're doing something. And secondly, just being mindful when you are recruiting the families. You know, if something happens in one member of the family, the whole family then tend to be involved, and you've either got to manage that as in they're all involved in the conduct, or they're at work still creating ill feeling because their family member is undergoing some kind of process. So it's just really being mindful. This is a family of 3, 2 of them having a disciplinary, the son isn't, but obviously the son is talking about it to other people, trying to talk about it to the manager. So that relationship is also breaking down. And these 2 children reported into the mum. And so obviously it's made it very easy then for her to doctor their hours, salary, all of it. So you shouldn't really have, I would say you should never have a family member who directly reports into another family member. You're automatically going to be accused of favoritism. Doesn't matter what you do. And like I said, when that relationship goes wrong, it has a bigger impact on the business and the club, because you've got multiple people with their opinions. They're always going to stick up for their family.
And what I want to say with this one as well, we feel particularly angry with the manager in question because it was the HR manager who abused her position. And we're like, no, you're bringing us all into disrepute now. We need to sue her ourselves, because everyone's saying, oh, HR people, we shouldn't trust them. It's like, you trust us, obviously. But, yeah, exactly.
We're very geared up for this disciplinary, let's say. We all got something to add to this disciplinary, which she didn't attend, which is probably good for her, really.
So are there any questions today? It's all silent. Everybody, I don't know whether it's the weather. Mel, do you want to?
Yeah, I can do one, because I, you know, always have one up my sleeve, as it were. You know, when the kickstarts were around and it was like a job placement sort of situation.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, can you offer your own version? So like, for example, could I offer 16 to 18-year-olds a work placement, and then that would allow you to see, like, you could obviously help people as well, but then you could see if anyone was useful, and then you could offer them a job after or not? Or is that not something that you can do?
But you can do quite a lot of things, but you can employ anybody. If you've got somebody doing work for you, you have to pay them.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I wasn't saying it was like a free placement. Yeah, you'd pay them minimum wage, whatever, like the Kickstart was. And you do it as a work placement rather than taking them on so that then they think it's a ongoing job.
No. Well, the thing, okay, you can say it's a sort of fixed term thing, but the point is that you can get rid of them at any point and say, actually, I'd like to try you out the first 3 months for a trial, and then if that goes well, we'll move on. But if it's either going to be sort of 1 or 2 weeks as an industrial placement. I mean, the thing is, industrial placement is usually more for, I mean, I know they use it a lot at universities, it's for 6 months or a year, which is quite a long time. I don't think you're talking about that length of time, are you, to see whether they
well, not necessarily. I think you'd probably have the measure of somebody within 3 months, wouldn't you? So
I think you'd have the measure of somebody by the end of the first week most of the time, to be honest, wouldn't you? I mean, let's be honest, usually and you keep trying, we all keep trying to get the best out of them, and then you're like, actually, no, I should have let them go straight away. Yeah.
So maybe I should look at doing 2-week placements or something.
Well, if they're interested, to do work placements, I mean, they have holidays that they would be willing to work in. You pay them during that time. I mean, the work experience that my son did, well, both of them did, wasn't paid, but they also were not allowed to touch anything. They just had to shadow. So I'm not sure that's going to help in any way to find out.
No. I was just thinking it might be a way, because in some ways the issue with staff is you need to try before you buy, really, don't you? And I just thought it's an easy way without anyone having a lot of expectations, where you could try before you buy.
That's what the probation period's for, Mel.
Yeah, but then all through the probation, they're under the impression that because these are conversations, they're shocked when it doesn't go well. They're like, they really think that that's it, they've got the job, because it's like an ongoing arrangement. Whereas if that's just a 2-week placement, there's not really the expectation of anything afterwards. And then you can actually say, oh, it's gone really well, would you like to be considered or whatever?
I suppose as long as you've got a robust process in place, but then of course you've still got the probation period when that person starts. The trouble
Yeah,
that you're going to have is somebody working for 2 weeks. Are you going to fully get to know them? Like you're saying, you're talking 3 months to get to know an employee, but you're thinking now that it's a bit contradictory. You're saying 3 months, you know, that's an appropriate time, and yet you want to bring in somebody in for 2
Well,
weeks.
I think
And
the
get a
thing is,
measure of them.
Caroline's right in the sense that you get a sense of people very early on. I guess the 3 months is more to see if someone, if you get a good sense that they're okay, they're trainable and all that sort of stuff. I think the 2 weeks is more the attitude thing to make sure that's correct. It's just that given my current performance management situation, which is sort of around kickstart people, is that I'm thinking about how would I then go forward. So rather than just advertising at large, I thought I was thinking of some version of my own work placement, but if that's not, you know, viable, then obviously I won't think.
You absolutely can do that. It's not a problem to do it, but just be aware they are employees. So I appreciate it. They think they're in due for 2 weeks. You need to, you know, then that they still have all the rights of anybody who was just normally starting with you until they're terminated. So it's just balancing that. So if you can get people who want to do 2 weeks and have a tryout, and then you say, oh yeah, it's going on, you'd still have to, in the first month, it's instant notice on either side. So it's not a problem to say on the Friday, second week, actually, yeah, thanks, that's great. I'll be in touch. And they go and you've terminated them. Yeah.
Right. I thought it was the first week.
No, first month is instant notice.
Oh, really? I've just dismissed somebody after 2 weeks and had to pay them a week's notice.
I don't think you have, unless you've got that in your contract because you decided you wanted to pay them a week's.
I wouldn't decide to pay extra.
Well, no, it's okay. So legally, the first month is instant notice on either side. However, very few of our clients have that in there. They have it as 1 week's notice from day one.
I wonder why I would have had that. I need to look at that then, because I've just had to stump up and pay for.
I'm going to say,
no, because you did the letter for me.
Okay,
you guys did the letter for me.
Okay,
Elizabeth did it.
Okay, but we'll look and see. But it should check what's in your contract that you had with them, because sometimes we do pay more because we feel that there is a reason that it'd just be easier and they'll be in a better mood and they go. But it's just checking what was actually in there.
All right, I'll revisit that, because if it is, I need to change it in my contracts, because I don't like that idea.
No, I don't know what it would be, but it would be it would have been set up originally and we've just carried it over. So
yeah,
you know, back in the midst of time, Mel, when we started working together.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'll have a look. Thank you.
Okay, good. Chris, did you have any questions today?
It's more just a bit of advice, and I know I'm a bit slow to the party on this one. Obviously, we've got quite a lot of staff who are 0-hour contracts, and it's just going around getting them onto a contract for a certain minimum amount of hours a week, and what the process is and how I ask them to do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so just as a result of the new holiday ruling.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have people that aren't really true 0 hours, the way we're doing the conversation is to say that we've done a review and actually this is what you're working. So we propose to get you on the correct contract that reflects what you're actually working, which is permanent contract, minimum hours per week, explain the benefits, for example. Yeah. If they agree, they sign it, that's fine. If they don't agree, then you say to them, it depends on their service. Sorry, if they've got more than 2 years service. If they don't agree, you can say, okay, in that case, I now need to start rostering you in line with your 0 hours contract, which might be for, you know, you might have somebody who's doing regular hours. If they don't agree to move to the correct contract, you now, you know, you barely roster them because it's a true 0 hours.
Yeah.
So that might then make them say, oh, hang on, I don't like that. Let's look at this again. A lot of the resistance is people are worried about the flexibility. So 0 hours, obviously true flexibility. They're now worried that they're going to this permanent contract, that they, you know, they have to work these set shifts. It's the conversation, isn't it? You can say, look, if you tell me you've got childcare issues on a Tuesday, I'm not going to deliberately rota you for a Tuesday. So it's about that conversation. If they've got less than 2 years service, we did say if you're not sort of using them at the moment, to terminate the contract and then re-engage them on either a fixed term contract, or if it is true 0 hours, then 0 hours again, but make sure you keep terminating the contract as and when you need their services. Yeah. And if they refuse, then to change the contracts with less than 2 years, you can issue their notice and terminate the contract.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of our staff we have on 0 hour contract mainly work functions at Saturdays and Sundays. So we do have a couple who work on the bar who are probably doing more hours, who I think will probably be more inclined to say, if we offer them, say, 8 hours, for example, guaranteed a shift on the bar, then I would have thought they'd be more inclined to go, oh, that I'm actually better off for it because I'm guaranteed 8 hours during the winter. We all know in the summer that they're going to be ramped up a bit more. The only ones where it's a little bit difficult, well, not difficult, but we've got a lot of kids who work on a Sunday. We do a reasonable size Sunday carvery, so we have probably about 10 staff front of house who are on 0 hours. What's the minimum amount which is fair to offer them? Because they'd probably do about 4 hours, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Is that
we always
fair
say
amount?
we would say to put at least one shift in there. So
Yeah.
if you could argue that one shift is 4 hours, you could justify that. If you put 2 hours, it just be, you know, you can ask me to work half a shift. It doesn't make sense. So a minimum of a full shift.
Do I need to quote the hours in it, or can it just say a minimum of one shift, or does it need to say a minimum of 4 hours?
You need to do the hours.
Yeah, okay.
Because otherwise you could keep changing that and it wouldn't be fair on the staff member. So it's gonna, and that's the minimum hours you can offer them per week.
So the contracts that we've got off you, do I just amend a 0 hour contract, or do I use one of the other contracts which has got a time? I think some of them might have had a time, a minimum hourage in it already. Yeah,
so if you're moving away from 0 hours, don't use that contract, because it's going to start saying about you know, they're not going to be offered these shifts, it's not guaranteed. So you need to use your standard template contract, and it was saying there's a clause, hours of work, that is where you'd put the 4 or the 8.
Right.
And then we do carry on, you know, we do say that hours may be variable, that it involves weekend working, flexible working. We go on to say that, but you would need to put the amount, the minimum amount of hours in that clause.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want us to resend your standard contract?
I was just going to suggest that.
Yeah. Should I ping you an email and then?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'd
Cool.
be great. Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Building on what Chris just said about 0 hours, we're not trying to get rid of the 0 hours. What we're saying is you don't want to have to do the holiday requirements for 0 hours if they are not genuine 0 hours. You can still have 0 hours people, but we're just trying to minimize your exposure. So if people are working regular hours, even though the students working every or the young people working every Sunday for 4 hours, okay, that's not as variable as a proper 0 hours, therefore there's no reason for you to have the exposure to the 5.6 weeks holiday. We can save you from that, and you only have to pay it pro rata. If you have got genuine 0 hours people who you have been all over the place, then it would be worth having the exposure to 5.6 weeks holiday. And we're just trying to minimize that exposure. That's all we're doing. We're not saying you shouldn't do it at all ever. It's just make sure you're making that informed decision on those. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, one quick thing.
Yeah.
So if we're taking staff on from this point onwards, would you recommend that they don't go on 0 hour contracts if they're falling into the brackets I've just said before?
Yeah, we would recommend that you do that minimum number of 4 hours or 8 hours, whatever it is. And then you've got control over that holiday.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Catherine or Liz, have you got anything else? I'm just going to put a link to the Zoom recordings into the chat. So sorry, I'm just trying to do too many things. I just wondered if Liz or Catherine could talk about something else while I try and fight with my computer. That'd be great.
The pressure. Now, I guess just following from the 0 hours, we've spoken a lot about the 0 hours and the new annual leave ruling. One, because it's important. Two, because it's very shocking to us still. But it's just a reminder, you know, we're in December now. If your new holiday year starts in January, to start getting the spreadsheets that we sent you, start populating them so you're ready to go from your new holiday year, the 1st of January, the new way of working out what they're entitled to pay wise. Not what they're entitled to leave wise, because it's a full time, but we, as I said, we built the spreadsheet for you to calculate their average pay. So yes, if between now and the 1st of January, just start updating the spreadsheets for all your 0 hour staff.
Good. Okay. Well, I think we'll leave it there for this week. We've got 2 more weeks of Zoom calls before Christmas. Yay! And the last one before Christmas, I do expect to see you with Christmas jumpers and antlers and everything like that. Okay, and maybe we can all drink some mulled wine for it and pretend it's from our coffee cup. So coffee cup, oh yes, it's definitely coffee, but it's mulled wine at lunchtime that Thursday. Yeah, yes, we're working on that already at this end. Any questions in the meantime, just send us an email or give us a call, and we'll see you all next week. Right, take care. Bye.
Bye.